Seats at the end of the court, please. Thank you. First set. Andy Roddick to serve. Ready? Play.
And that's Andy Roddick. I mean, that's his career. Big serve, big second shot with the forehand.
15 love.
Luke, what is the secret to returning a serve when it's hit that hard? I mean, it's like facing Nolan Ryan. You have to do something differently.
Well, there's an amount, just like hitting a Nolan Ryan fastball or a curve or a sinker, there's a certain amount of guessing, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you are kind of trying to read the toss. The toss from Andy Roddick will kind of give away some sort of location. The other thing you've got to be very aware of is the spin. It's getting around the ball, under the ball. Or he's right behind it, on top of it, basically hitting a flat cannonball. For Andy Roddick, he is one of the greatest servers of all time because he's as deadly with the cutters and the kickers as well as the big heater, the missile. So it's a tricky deal. It's very hard to read his serve because he has an abbreviated toss. You know, that motion's kind of really quick compared to, like, let's say, a Sampras or a Federer. It just comes off his racket so fast.
And he's had obviously a very successful financial career, and he started the Andy Roddick Foundation some time back, and they've generated over $8 million to aid a variety of causes. Rather convincing for Andy Roddick as we just get started under the lights at Arthur Ashe.
First game.
It's ironic that I see Andy Roddick tonight after another, in my opinion, a young American from Nebraska, Jack Sock, who's won our national championship, junior national championship, the Kalamazoo Nationals, the Zoo, the last 2 years. And he was playing today on court 17. He was in the lead, so I don't know how he ended up, but very similar to what we see in Roddick. Young, athletic, big serve, big forehand, lots of intensity. So you're seeing generations of American players here at this year's major.
Love 15.
One of the things that Russell is up against is just the amount of experience that Roddick has on this court. Roddick's entire career has been played on Arthur Ashe Stadium. And there you get Russell who's sitting there playing in this huge stadium with the attention, the TV, the lights. He's got to be nervous. That's 2 double faults to kick off his serving campaign.
Well, tell us the kind of small and wild, out-of-the-way places he might have played his tennis.
Oh, well, let's just start in the States. I mean, he's played Peoria, Illinois. I mean, he's played in Rochester, New York. He's played Binghamton, New York. The challengers throughout the United States. Had some serious knee problems. He's come back from that. He's turned himself. He was always a good little solid retriever, but if you see the way he's built now, he's gotten into the gym and dedicated himself to fitness. Nicknamed Muscles.
Good fake there by Andy. Looked like he was going cross court and he just went up the line.
That's experience. Russell couldn't have played a better point. Side to side, moving Andy Roddick, the number 21 seed, from corner to corner. Russell then sneaks in on this one, and this should be a defensive shot, but Roddick turns it into a slice and dice winner.
That rally was as long as a documentary, and not a lot for Michael Russell to build on yet, is there?
And that's the shot, Al, that he has never really possessed. That ball needs to be bone crushed. That ball, if you see Novak Djokovic take that two-hander, he would step up and just hammer it. But you just don't see that from Andy Roddick. You don't see the footwork getting into position. You don't see him taking big cuts at the ball. He's going to hold serve. He's up a break. His forehand's extremely effective, extremely explosive. He's got to do more with that two-hand backhand for him to start pushing into the... He could serve his way around that issue, but he can't anymore. I mean, guys just get too many balls back. You get the point started and then start picking on that backhand.
There must be so many little items of advice that Andy Roddick is so tired of hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Change this, do that.
Well, I'm not asking him to change it. I want the approach to change. I don't want it to be technically changing. A lot of people choke up, choke down. And I'm saying let's go out and let's have a different approach with that shot. Turn it into more of an offensive weapon.
At this point of his career and in a championship like this, you spend a little extra time on the resume. And if there's one thing Andy Roddick has done, he has represented the United States and done the job in Davis Cup. He has just almost always been there.
And it's got to be important. It's important to John McEnroe. It's important to a lot of players like Andre Agassi to go out there and represent. And it really helps American tennis, the next generation of player and kids, to really see and admire their heroes representing in the Olympics, in the Davis Cup play.
First.
Well, it's been about as one-sided as it can be, and a nice comeback in that game for Andy Roddick. He leads Michael Russell. A battle of Americans. 3-love the difference. So apparently, there are some places in the world where they're a little upset when we don't keep talking during the changeovers.
Really?
So we're going to have to keep talking during the changeovers and be entertaining.
There you go. I know you can do that. What has been your U.S. Open moment so far?
Well, apparently the big moment last night in the stadium was that the camera took a shot of these two very good-looking women who proceeded to do this mega serious lip lock. That was a major uproar, and I missed it. What's Michael Russell, seriously? What is he thinking at this point? I mean, he really hasn't had a moment yet.
Well, he can't get his serve in. He started out with 2 double faults and then ended up losing his game. The problem is he is up against so much firepower in Andy Roddick that it's going to be tough for him to get his feet and, everything going. He's just outmatched. I mean, there's a reason Michael has been kind of a journeyman this whole thing, because he's had to earn and work and fight and scrap for every point and match he's won.
So Andy Roddick up 3-love in the first set, and this is a very late first-round match. Michael Russell serving again. Last time he double faulted the first 2. Ouch. You can watch a lot of tennis and not see something like that.
Double faulted there, and Roddick showing once again with a breakup here in the opening set that he's going to attack that second serve. He was about to hit and approach behind it. On the American side, Jack Sock from Nebraska did win in 4 sets over Jiquel from France. Isner is up 2 sets to love, but he's down 3-0 against Baghdadis. American stories out there. Donald Young won yesterday.
He's feeling very confident, apparently, from what he has been saying.
Yeah. The best result, as far as leading up. He had a nice result in Washington, D.C. He's playing better than he's ever played before. He's maturing as an individual, which is going to help his game. For Russell, he's got to be very careful right now, because the worst thing that can happen on this big stage is where you just start going down 0-4, 0-5. He's got to be extremely consistent. He's got to think his way through every single point. He doesn't have enough pace to hit through the court at past Andy Roddick.
Has a moment.
He's showcasing his quickness around the baseline, up to the net, and then the quick hands. Here's a nice half volley. He's really tricky. Steps up, split step. And see, he recovered just in time. He didn't give up on the. He didn't think it was over. And then see how he reaches up and knocks it to the open court. Good feet, good reflexes. Nice point. Yeah, that serves only 100 miles an hour. He's just outgunned.
Second service.
And you don't expect a guy by the name of Muscles Russell, who comes out with the sleeveless shirt, to be outgunned, do you?
Well, that's true. He definitely has really worked on his fitness. But these serves, that one 102 miles an hour, and Roddick has just been smoking his serve. 135 is the fastest so far. The fastest for Russell so far in this match is 111.
Michael Russell is on the board. Hey, I just spent a few minutes with Nick Bollettieri. Asked him a couple of things. Roddick up 3-1. One, on a couch with truth serum, if you asked Andy Roddick, is your window closed or is it still open? What does he say?
As far as winning a slam?
Winning this tournament.
Winning this tournament. I think because he's such a competitor, he's here to win. He's not worried about what happened this year or anything. The reality is his game hasn't kind of done anything this year. He had an opportunity in Davis Cup against Spain. He gave those matches away. I believe the competitor can find a way. I don't think his game is up to the challenge when I see a Djokovic, a Marty Fish, the way he's playing, a Tsonga. The guys out there competing for this title. But Andy Roddick has one of these puncher's chances because he plays so big from the serve and the forehand.
15 all.
Double fault there.
What did Nick say?
Nick said he thought the window is open because that's what an athlete has to think if they're in this. Just what you said. Now here's the other one. He said he believes if you consider all the skills of a champion, agility, running, serve, that you take that all into account.
30-15.
Novak Djokovic is the greatest player of all time.
That's a bold statement.
Right?
It's a bold statement.
So that's not taking into account how many Grand Slams.
Sure,
it's just based on ability.
I just don't think 1 year makes the greatest player of all time. Longevity, a huge, large body of work really will determine if you're a,
Oh, sure, but I think what he's saying is that I never saw a player at any one time do all the things that he is able to do.
I'll go with that.
Okay, so there you go.
The main loss is lost one match. Gave away another one.
Andy Roddick leads Michael Russell 4-1 at Arthur Ashe. So I guess what you could expound on what Nick Bollettieri is talking about Novak Djokovic is that he has been gifted all these things.
And finally, it's all that realized. Because remember, he had to change his diet. He had to change his mindset, his mental approach that always kind of led him down in the path. Right before this tournament, Roger Federer was talking about, we banked on, speaking Nadal and Federer, banked on Djokovic imploding and mentally just going away in matches. You can't do that anymore. He's kind of made that a weapon for himself. And the way he is so quick around the court, Djokovic, the way he is hitting the ball so deep into the corners, how comfortable he is now as the #1 player in the world, it's just like, he's just all over the place. How good. He's playing unbelievable in all areas of the game.
So it's been very much an Andy Roddick set, but Michael Russell is on the board. Roddick serving at 69%, Russell only at 40. Michael Russell, the toughness of Detroit, the lifestyle of Austin, Texas. Serving to Andy Roddick, 1-4.
There's a great example right there. Did you notice where he hit that backhand from? And you notice where it went, just like in the bottom of the net. That backhand right there will just get smoked by a Djokovic, by the elite players who he needs to beat.
You mean if it gets over?
Yeah. See, that's just played right to the service line. There's nothing on that ball. I'll point out.
And that's why we're going to have a lot of long rallies between these two.
Well, we're going to have long rallies, but he's not here to beat Michael Russell. I mean, it's part of the process.
And it is in.
30.
It's interesting that there's any discourse between the players and the chair umpire as to what it was, where the mark, because it's a computer printout.
We had a kid from Kazakhstan go nuts and have basically a mini explosion on the double bounce against Nadal last night. That was something to watch.
40-15.
Well, if Roddick can somehow turn this game around, it would be really one of those big-time spirit breakers.
Well, one thing for Russell, he is so competitive. He's got a great attitude. You've got to have a great attitude when you're going through the minor leagues. And you're dealing with all the adversities. I mean, so many people saying that guy should stop and get a job.
So here we are, Luke. It's very one-sided. Some might say it's so one-sided it's not interesting. But I wonder if you could make a case. It's interesting because you'd love to watch and see if with what he has as a player, Michael Russell can somehow figure out a way to turn this into a match.
Well, listen, it's only one break right now. And what Russell's thinking about is how do I get myself into this game? And one of the ways is if Andy Roddick doesn't really take this guy serious, and let's work on a little serve and volley action. We've seen that with Roger Federer in the opening round. Kind of working on things and blah, blah, blah. You've got to go out and take care of business. If you're Andy Roddick, you want to bone crush this guy. And now it's love 15.
Last year, Andy Roddick exited the U.S. Open in the second round, but everybody remembers his most famous early exit.
Into that volley, which is very difficult to do. Cuts underneath the ball with a little extra backspin to make sure it doesn't sit up. He sneaks in. As soon as Roddick shows that he's going to hit that slice backhand, Russell sneaks in and hits the volley for the winner.
We've got a little development here. Anyway, it was 2005, as you well remember, when millions was spent on an advertising campaign about Andy's mojo and how he's got it back, and he lost in the first round, and it all.
That lefty, he lost that lefty from like Belgium or something like that.
Give me a minute.
They played in the juniors together, and it was a lefty. It was kind of quirky, and I think he's still out there playing.
30.
Michael Russell giving up that lead here in this game, had love 30, couldn't get the serve back, and then made an unforced error there. Where Russell really needs a look to try to run around his backhand and rip a forehand to take control of the point. And a gift.
30-14.
First break point of the match for Michael Russell here in the first set. the 7th game. And for a while, it looked like a blowout for Roddick. And now, if Russell can break here, we got ourselves a ball game. Well, that was a dicey situation. Roddick hit the kick instead of the heat. That served only 104 miles an hour, but it had a massive amount of spin on it to kick up over the shoulders of Russell. And there's Roddick with the put away forehand.
Point that wouldn't end finally ends.
Advantage, Roddick.
From power to touch. I'm watching a rally like that, Luke. How is it that a guy who can serve the ball at 155, Gilles Muller, that's it. 2005, very nice. 23 shots in that last rally. How is it that a guy who can generate that much power, 155 miles an hour, can't get much on a two-handed backhand?
I think it's kind of locked up in there, to be perfectly honest. I don't really think his technique is that bad. I just don't think he gives himself the freedom to go hit it. I think you notice it seems a lot, very stiff and confined. You just have to get into some situations where you just unleash the beast and relax it. Oh, what a shot.
Skid marks on the hard court of Arthur Ashe. Roddick holds.
You know, Al, I've made a lot of progress with my players to just have them do a series of drills where I feed them kind of in there. It's like batting practice, but they just go out and I want them to hit as hard as they can. Just as I don't care where the ball goes, just, you know, hit as hard as you can. Don't try to hit the back fence, try to get it in, but it kind of pushes their ceiling, you know, a little bit higher with their velocity. And then when they do come down, their shot is much looser and freer. They time the ball better. And for Andy Roddick, that's one of those things where I don't think he allows himself to wail on that backhand. I think he's resigned to, I just want to put it in play. I don't want to beat myself with it. And in the end, he hurts himself because there's nothing on that. It's short. There's not a lot of spin on it. It's not getting through the court. And guys finally get into it and they win points because of it. It's an easy fix. It's just the approach by telling, you know, Andy, hey, why don't you take a couple of swings? You're up now 5-2. So what if you make some errors? Sampras was notorious for that kind of backhand, was just, you know, hit it, go for it.
Time.
Rip it.
A couple of Texans at the U.S. Open. First round match. Michael Russell to the right. From Skycam, Andy Roddick to the left. And it will be Russell serving. Michael Russell, 15 love. So he started his professional career in doubles and then finally got ranked in singles in 2000. 156, 88, 160, 496, 244, 383, 145, 72, breakthrough. Oops, next year 259. then 83 in 09, 99 in 2010, and right now 95. That is dedicated to your craft,
That
baby.
really is. I mean, he's not making a lot of money. I mean, he's making just over expenses. He ain't buying the house and you know, the 3 extra cars and he wants to be a pro tennis player. He's playing pro tennis. He's making little jack over that.
First service.
Tweener. But you can hit the ball hard when you spin around like that, can't you?
You sure can.
Everything on that. 15-30.
Shot off the net cord. Nice time to do it. And Roddick's deep behind the baseline. You just cut underneath it. And the key for that is to make sure, Al, that you hit a little underspin on it. It kind of keeps the ball from going forward, but bounces back toward you. See how delicate that was? Little kiss from the net cord, and it just died. You want to try to get that ball to bounce at least twice in that service box on the other side to be effective with your drop shot. But it's a very soft shot to play.
One of those times that Andy ripped one off from the baseline.
Yeah, well, that's forehand too. Wasn't backhand. Remember, look at where he's hitting his offensive shots.
First set to Andy Roddick as Michael Russell says, come on, off the miss hit.
By 6 games to 2.
Brooklyn Decker likes it.
Well, talking about his Michael Russell's financial situation, he turned pro in '98. You know, right out of Miami, turned pro early, didn't graduate. So you know, he starts out pretty good. So since then, he's made $1.3 million. Okay, in that career that you mentioned.
Since 1998.
Since '98. So you're saying, boy, that's 1.3. That's a lot of money. You know, last year alone, in the top 100, he made about $330,000, $320,000. But now, here's reality. How much money are you spending to travel? What kind of coach do you have? Look, I mean, this guy used to have to buy his rackets while he's on the tour. I mean, now he's got to deal with a clothing and a shoe and but this is because he's established himself as a top 100 player. But you start taking those expenses and all that stuff away, like I said, he's making money. That's some good money to look at. But what you don't understand at home is the amount of travel expenses and all these other things that add up, not to mention Uncle Sam wants his too. I mean, he's in Texas for a reason, no state tax. You know, you live in Michigan. I'm from Michigan. State tax.
Plus, you have to plan your own travel.
Yeah. Well, look at Muscles right here. He's already look at his knees. I don't know when that happened, but he's bleeding. No trainer. I don't need a trainer.
I don't remember him falling at all.
No, maybe going down for some shot. But I don't want to say this guy's living in cardboard boxes or anything like that. But on the pro circuit,
well, just do the average since 1998. That's 13 years, 1.3 million. So that's an average of $100,000 a year
before taxes and expenses.
Knowing that he made $300,000 last year, that makes it less than $100,000. Yikes.
I have a lot of respect for Michael Russell. I mean, to get to this part of his career, and it's just, as a kid, you dream about being a professional tennis player and playing in the Grand Slams and competing, getting to Arthur Ashe stadiums and center court Wimbledons and stuff. And he is honestly going to bring his career in on empty. A lot of people leave a lot of talent on the table when they're said and done because they haven't maximized their talent. See, that's just a bad shot selection. He got away with the drop shot earlier, but then Roddick was smart enough to jump on this one, and it was played a little heavy by Russell. And a tremendous overachiever, Michael Russell. I mean, for example, his fastest serve of the match is 113 miles an hour. I don't even play, and I still throw 130s. I'm not even good. But, what I'm saying is he's out there in a cannonball fight, basically, with Andy Roddick, and he's bringing a knife. He's got good skill. Look at that forehand down the line. He put Andy Roddick off to the side. Then he opened up the down the line and hit the winner.
Just back to the yearly earnings thing. That's to the point where free food at the tournament is a big deal.
Big deal. Housing, big deal. Doing the Pro-Am for $35, big deal.
Andy Roddick serving to Michael Russell. Two Americans. Roddick took the first set 6-2.
40-30.
And here 40-30. And Roddick holds. Here in the second set, he leads it 1-love, up a set, 38 minutes in. How about that little crescent moon shot there?
Wow. That's Neil's place.
How much difference in the serve percentage? Considering that Russell started off with back-to-back double faults.
Yeah, but remember, let's go to the speed. I'll go back. 135 is the fastest for Andy Roddick in the first set. The fastest for Russell's 113.
That's sort of Serena-like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, just to recap the bigger story of the day, Venus Williams withdrawing, saying that she has been brought down by something called Sjogren's syndrome. And it's sort of complicated, but can attack many, many organs, and it makes you feel fatigued and your joints ache. Michael Russell to serve. Looking to get on the board in the second set.
That's a very nice shot. Good combination from Russell. Clearly the strength of his game is his ability to take the ball early, close to the baseline, rip it to the corners. What I'd like to see Russell do is go for more on his first serve. That last first serve was, I think, 101 miles an hour. You're up 15 love, you're down a set. It's time to start adding some juice. And at 111, I'll take that. He's going for more. He's up 30 love. He can take more risk. Second serve, 102. Now we're talking.
I've seen Brooklyn Decker a couple of times. That's got to be a really challenging thing. So,
life's tough.
Honey, how was your day? I mean,
Tom Brady kind of has a clue. You kind of grow up and say, I want to be, what do I want to do in life? I want to be a professional, professional athlete, and I want to marry a swimsuit model. Check, check. If you're Andy Roddick. I like the play. I mean, he's in a tough position because he's outside the double sideline, but that forehand down line's wide open. He's up 40-30. He's got one of those throwaway points that you really like.
there shouldn't be any of those.
You caught me on that one. That guy.
I got away with one of those throwaway points there, Luke. We didn't have to deal with deuce, so it's 1-all. The grounds here, the first 3 days, absolutely packed. When there's the collision of the day session with the night session, it is really something to behold. And the different kinds of people. Does it get more beautiful than that? Well, their first serve percentages may be close, maybe 5% difference, but the real deal is what happens when that first serve is in, and that's where Andy's been dominating.
That's a nice approach shot and a better passing shot. Saw that little graphic. The average serve speed for the match for Andy Roddick is 116 miles an hour, and I can't stress this enough. The fastest serve by Russell, the entire match has been, the fastest has been 113. Russell's average first serve is 106. The game is dominated with the serve on the men's side of the draw. On the women's side of the draw, it's the return of serve that dominates the game. Seen many more breaks of serves in the on the women's side of the draw.
Andy kept forcing it into his backhand, and that was just beautiful.
Well, the volley had some depth, but it was too kind of general as far as it wasn't to a corner or to a sideline. And that's where Russell really is at his best, being a counterpuncher. And so if Andy Roddick wants to move forward and get into his grill, Russell's grill, it's going to play right into the Russell game plan.
Another point that wouldn't end. Crowd loves that.
They've been looking for that type of point the entire match.
15.
Russell does the right thing by throwing that ball high into the air a couple of times. And then what lets him down? Deep, see behind the baseline, doesn't really hit it. You know, he's just kind of throwing it back in play and shanks it wide.
A couple of break points here for Michael Russell.
Yeah, see, he's so far off the court. He's like he's hitting it from West Virginia way over there. He's got to do more with that forehand as far as bringing that thing in, because if he goes for such a big low percentage shot, even if it goes in, Roddick's got him down the line.
He is all banged up on both legs, front and back.
Well, no, well, the back, he keeps rubbing the blood into the other leg. The other leg isn't cut. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you think
Instead
that's
of,
what it
yeah,
is?
he's going for drama. He instead of wiping it off with a towel, you know, it's a little like warrior mentality, Rambo.
Little Kurt Schilling kind of thing, Boston Red Sox World Series, yeah. So Michael Russell breaks Andy Roddick's serve. We asked the question, should that be happening at any time? Now, Luke, really, it's only one game, but if ever there was a thing that would be a warning sign for Andy Roddick, and finally we do have the trainer to take care of these bumps, and we'll see whether they're front and back or not. I mean, Andy Roddick's got to be a little shaken by that, no?
Well, he's not going to panic only because I thought he let off the gas. He knows he
I don't mean panic, but I mean...
Yeah, I know, but I would be more frustrated that you allowed this to happen to go down. He just cleaned them up. Mick's just cleaning them up. Cut me, Mick. Cut me, Mick. It's just
a little Bassett Trayson, maybe. We haven't seen a lot of trainers visiting the courts, which is a good thing.
Yep. No, for Andy Roddick, it's disappointing because he's got to really continue. If he's going to really make a run at this tournament, is he serious about winning it? He's got to take care of business. He cannot have loose games.
Cotton Eye Joe in New York City. I've never understood it, but it's very popular. Now, this has to be about as good as Michael Russell has felt this entire match so far.
Well, the way he opened up, he's done 2 double faults when he started serving, 0-3. But now he is in a winning position. This is where he really needs to play aggressively. He's got to play like he's winning. He's got to go for it. He cannot back up and hope Roddick misses for him. See, that's, I mean, make that shot down the line. Put Roddick on the run.
How many times have we seen this? The upstart against the star, and the upstart has a moment, and it lasts about 3 minutes.
We were talking about the script.
Yeah.
Yesterday. All right, here we go. The upstart, 3 straight sets. Nadal was playing from behind, a break, and he came back every single time to win in straight sets last night. forehand. You finally you have earned your opportunity. You should never have brought the trainer out. You keep the warrior blood on the legs. You don't start playing until you start bleeding. And get going, man. You are a massive underdog here. You get a sniff. He gives you an ounce, and you run with it.
This is Al Troutwig along with Knut Rockne.
That serves 101 miles an hour. Come on, man. Rip it.
Now, on the flip side, shouldn't Andy Roddick be doing a little bit more on that second serve?
At love 40, I would recommend that. I think by stepping in and in a 15-40 or a love 40 situation, I want one point where you crack it and you're playing to win on it. Now, you may miss it.
And for Michael Russell, that's a mini disaster.
Well, you work so hard to get the lead, and then you just basically donate it back. Absolutely. The missed forehands, now the missed backhand. Little sunshine in the box. Life's pretty good for Andy Roddick. Nice approach shot.
15 love. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could keep our voices down behind the umpire's chair, it would be great. Thank you.
Meanwhile, stay connected to the U.S. Open through the official Facebook page, Twitter channel, and Foursquare page. Visit usopen.org/social for more information. That's a moon launch. How about this, Luke? We've got Maria Sharapova coming up later on, Arthur Ashe. She has over 5 million people following her on Facebook. Are you kidding?
Can anyone help her with her serve, her second serve?
Well, we'll talk about that later.
It's just unfortunate because Russell really has dropped off. He got the 2-1 lead, played a really bad service game, and now just can't seem to get the ball in play to extend and force Andy Roddick to play some tougher points.
Yeah, they just showed the knee, but I don't think that has anything to do with it.
No, it's just a little strawberry.
Andy Roddick up a set and even at 3-2 on serve.
By 1 set to love.
They crank up the Led Zeppelin here at Arthur Ashe Stadium Court. A little geography for you. We're in Fresh Meadows, Queens, which is actually on Long Island. Nassau County, which is where New Yorkers think Long Island really starts, to the right. And then Suffolk County, and then New York City continues to the left with Brooklyn. And Brooklyn and Queens are connected to Manhattan by a tunnel and a series of bridges. And then just on the other side of that is the island of Staten Island, and then the Bronx, which is home to the Yankees. Home to the New York Mets baseball team is right next door here, and the lights are on, and the Mets are in action. We had a major moment that just gets repeated all too often, and it has to do with nerves and handling prosperity and all that psychological stuff you hear all the time. But if you were to ask Michael Russell, right, what's the toughest thing that you could do in this match? You'd say, well, break Andy Roddick's serve. Well, job one completed, and then right away, everything here was gone. With balls hit into the net, balls hit wide.
When I went into big matches, I wanted to play to win. I wanted to have that mindset. If I walked off, I went for it.
Michael Russell serving 2-3 second set.
And there's no doubt that Michael Russell is playing to win. But is his game reflecting that approach? It honestly looks like Andy Roddick's in a nice little groove hit, playing a nice little baseline game. I want Russell to press this guy. I want Russell to move him around.
Does he have the power to do that?
He doesn't need the power to move him around, but he does have the power off the forehand side to rip it and do something with it. If you're going to go down swinging. Do you see how Russell developed that point? At the beginning, just going backhand, like body blows. And then as he started to get in control of the point, getting short balls, then he started moving it sideline to sideline.
But there's nothing ferocious about the pace of these rallies, is there?
That's what I mean. That he's can get it out to these places, but where's the knockout punch? Where's the risk being taken? Andy Roddick is not going to continue to miss. Andy Roddick is not going to continue to give you short balls. Eventually, he's going to grab you and throw you to the ground and just kind of bone crush you if you don't start doing something before he does.
What are the Larry Stefanski principles, Luke?
Well, number one, you got to be extremely fit. And he's very no-nonsense. Doug Spreem to the right is a former ATP Tour trainer, working with Andy Roddick. It starts with fitness, discipline, lots of discipline. And then basically he really likes his player using a slice backhand, using the majority of the court as far as keep the ball out of the middle, get to the sideline. In my opinion, one of the elite coaches on the planet. A lot of coaches tell their player at this level what they want to hear. Larry Stefanski has always told his players, from John McEnroe, Patrick McEnroe, Marcelo Rios, Kafelnikov. He's worked with so many #1 players in the world. Now, Andy Roddick has always said what they need to hear, and that's a risk he takes from getting canned. And Rios is the best example. He takes Rios to #1 in the world. He fires Stefanski, and the reason was, I just didn't like the direction I was going in.
Yikes.
You know where he went from there? just went down. Never reclaimed #1. Lost forever in the abyss of the ATP Tour rankings.
3 games on.
When he fired Stefanki, he basically gave up #1 in the world.
That is an unbelievable story.
Why did you get rid of? I mean, Larry honestly got him to #1 in the world. Finals of the Australian Open. Cans him. I just don't like the direction I'm going in.
Love 15.
Here in New York City, the Yankees are, of course, a big deal. And the Yankees used to have a player by the name of Ruben Sierra. And when Ruben Sierra left, he said he was so happy to be leaving the Yankees because the only thing that manager Joe Torre cared about was winning. Can't make it up. Andy Roddick is sort of having a first-round match like all the other big stars we've seen on this court, huh?
Day 3, and it's the same type of thing. We haven't seen some consistent play at night. Djokovic went out and took care of business the way a top player does in his opening round. But
13-15.
Andy Roddick has 1 ace.
It really is kind of ho-hum right now. I mean, remember when Roddick first came out and there was that massive serve and everybody was oohing and eyeing?
It was fireworks.
Fireworks.
Now, that's just as good as an ace, but still.
Yeah. But he's gotten himself into situations where he's having to play more second shots than he's ever had to play before. And to me, there's no doubt that he's lost some miles per hour on his fastball. Now, is that a strength thing? Is that a practice thing? Or is it an age thing? There's nothing that I can see in his technique that has changed. This guy holds the world record at 155. That's what I'm talking about from Russell. Do you notice how he took that ball early, put a little extra drive instead of rolling it, and it got through the court? But that's just to stay in the game. What about when you're up 3, a break, 2-1? Where was that play then?
And Roddick is able to take the game. That goes over well in his camp. 6-2, 4-3.
4 games to 3. Second set by 1 set to love.
So now, look, let's talk for a minute about 133 is what we've seen. 155 is, we know what it was at its zenith. What's the difference between seeing that?
Whoa, I mean, and through the years, I played exhibitions with him, and he was just coming on the tour when I was leaving the tour. And truly, it is scary because normally you're saying, okay, I just want to be able to cover this serve, that serve, and I don't want to get aced. I want to put the ball back in play. He's the only guy ever faced. I played, Becker and Ivanisevic and Krajicek, the biggest servers in the game. He's the only guy, Andy Roddick, where I felt I don't want to get hit.
It would hurt.
I mean, yeah, it would hurt. I mean, like, seriously, he hit you in the wrong spot, you're going down. And I did this exhibition where we play for butts up. If you lose, they get to serve at your backside. And he hit me one time. We were playing in Wichita, Kansas. He hit me one time in the back of the thigh. It stayed for a month. There was a welt. There was blood. He broke like veins.
Who came up with that game?
Oh yeah, it's forever. We've been doing this for like 30 years. It's a great game. Butts up. You can go Google, YouTube it. It's on it there.
What's up with butts up? Well, this has not been a breeze. I mean, the first few games you thought this is going to be gone in a hurry, but it didn't turn out that way. I mean, 6-2 is pretty solid. But then Andy Roddick had his serve broken here in the second set and then promptly re-broke Michael Russell.
15 love.
And this is where I'd like to see Andy Roddick kind of buckle down and let's get this, set over with. Let's get the break, lift the intensity, lift the level of play. It's just two nice returns. I mean, let's serve. Honestly, it's 103. You know what he should be doing instead of chipping it? Bone crushing it. Just hammer that ball. Give me a little Venus and Serena Williams. They'll take a big bite out of crime on that return. Like, he should be up right now and just working this return into a corner with some pace.
13-15.
The level of play has been so bad. Hasn't it? Our 3 matches. We've had Federer, night 1. Worst match I've ever seen him play. Nadal last night. And he was behind a break in every set. Came back and won. And now Roddick,
30
who is, getting like a C+, B- so far. I mean, let's step up and do something. For Russell, you're right here. I mean, Russell can, honestly, if he can hold serve here, you're at 4-all, maybe sneaks out this set. You're in position.
Said a few of those.
He gets Andy Roddick so deep behind the baseline, and then he steps up and right at the last second just puts a nice little cut drop shot in. For all the junk players that play at the club public parks, they know that junk drop shot. Very similar from Michael Russell. Very effective.
And every time you do it, doesn't your opponent say, really?
Okay, here we go. Now, last night, Golubev from Kazakhstan had Rafael Nadal in a lot of pickles, like we're kind of hoping that Russell can get Roddick into right now, but Golubev honestly was ripping the ball.
So we get to the point now in this set where we got to last night. You've made some progress.
Yep.
You're 4-all against Andy Roddick. You're not supposed to win this match. And now here's Roddick's serve, and what do? You've had a good time so far returning it. Broken his serve already. That's a little different.
Here we go. I mean, it's a very nice short angle forehand.
Love 15.
Puts a little nice roll on it. Gets around the outside of the ball. that shot. See, he's so far back behind the baseline. If he just cuts it back nice and deep, try to neutralize that play from Roddick to get Russell back in the play. He's not pressing Roddick. Roddick doesn't look like he's under any duress at all. I mean, it's a big moment in this set. Second serve, Russell should look for the forehand, run around the backhand, rip a forehand.
Couple of times Roddick's come to the net. Russell has had the answer.
But that's where Russell is at his very best. He's a counterpuncher. He wants you coming after him. He wants a target. So if you're going to hit this lame approach shot, look at this approach shot. It's short. No, it wasn't that short. I mean, it wasn't too bad. But he starts from that corner. He's not really in a winning, aggressive position.
Now, in Russell, we're talking about, a lifetime tennis player. Never won a U.S. Open match, and that was a huge serve by Andy Roddick, because that point was a huge point.
104 with a lot of American twist on it to bend it out wide. Roddick with only 2 aces in the match. That was in this set. Didn't hit any aces in the first set. Number 3.
Back-to-backers.
And he goes to the big gun.
Challenging the call on the right center serve line.
29 miles an hour.
I know, but you can't wait that long.
Andy's upset that Russell waited that long, but it's still good by a millimeter.
Score stands 40-30.
Wait that long. We've seen guys walk all the way up to the mark and have a picnic and decide and talk to their friend. And
Andy Roddick.
Those are 3 big serves in a row.
That's right.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, no, you can't wait that long.
Not only are these 2 Americans battling in the first round, but they both live in Texas. Andy Roddick and Michael Russell. And there are some moments in this match where Michael Russell might look back and be frustrated as to what didn't happen. But those last few points were just pure power by Andy Roddick. And now Russell tries to hang on and prevent the second set from going away. Not a good start.
Love 15.
A nice serve, and then on the backhand, I don't think he was expecting such a deep return and was caught by surprise. First serve, 92 miles an hour.
Love 13.
Energy out here. You know what I mean? It's they're waiting for something to happen and big, and we've seen a couple of entertaining points, but not the fireworks that we talked about. Happen in an Andy Roddick match, the oohs and ahs.
Well, I'll tell you this, I certainly hope that both of these men are cherishing this moment out here, because harsh as it may seem, Michael Russell's 33, oldest man in the draw is 34. Andy Roddick may only be 29 going on 30, but he's played a lot of tennis and a lot of high level, deep into championships tennis. So I just hope they're cherishing this chance out here. Russell watches the second set go away.
2 sets to love.
So Andy Roddick is now rolling on the scoreboard, 6-2, 6-4. You know, cherish the moment, seize the day, carpe diem, all that stuff. It's the kind of thing you hear for forever from your parents and your grandparents. But how old do you think you really have to be to believe it and to understand it? Certainly, I don't think it's 29.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good deal. I think Andy Roddick wants to play himself into position of contention. You know, you've got your big three right now, and then you've got your guys like Fish and Djokovic who are like, you know what, I can do this. You know, my record this year, my results. Whereas Andy Roddick's in a position at 29 with his results this year is saying, you know what, all I want to do is play myself into the second week. And then I'll say, I'll bring my U.S. Open trophy from 2003 and all my experience and say, you know what? Let's play. If he can do that, you know, it's one of the, you know, Sampras did it. You remember Sampras, after he won and won Wimbledon and broke Roy Emerson's career Grand Slam thing, he didn't win a tournament for 2 years until he won here against Agassi and retired.
That is unbelievable.
So that is unbelievable. So all you're looking to do for Andy Roddick is, I'm telling you, he wants to get to the second week, and then he'll say, now let's play ball. Because right now, he doesn't know if he's going to get there. He just wants to get there. Whereas the top three, the other guys are saying, I'm going to be there. I'm kind of setting up my machine for the run in the second week.
Well, it's been 3 years since he reached the quarterfinals.
Andy Roddick to serve.
And 6 years since he was a runner-up.
Just not enough pace on that backhand going down the line. He wasn't really set up for it. A nice little rally, but again, it looks like a cross-court down the line drill. It doesn't look like there's enough depth, enough pace behind those shots to really conviction when you're hitting. Yeah, hit it like you mean it.
15 on.
Green like that?
Well, but that is his game. That's where the offense comes from. He gets it from his forehand. He gets it from his serve. When he comes forward, he's a nice athlete around the net. He's not great technically around the net, but he's so athletic he can get away with it. But it's the backhand side that I want to see him get up and get after. You're up 2 sets to love. Let's rip it.
First service.
Roddick keeps getting in trouble when he goes to the net with an approach shot that just isn't deep enough or penetrating enough. And then Russell's able to play his little games, little short angles, and his dipping, his counter punching.
Now some rare break points here. We haven't had many. Michael Russell has broken Andy Roddick once in the second set.
13-14.
It's a 103-mile-an-hour second serve. That's a very aggressive second serve. The average second serve pace on the men's tour is about 86, 87.
Interesting beginning to the third set. Now, last time, Andy Roddick broke back right away. We'll see if that happens again as the third set moves to Michael Russell's serve, up 1-love. Hey, I don't think I have. Have you ever seen anyone who had the confidence in their first serve to the point where they unleashed it on second serve?
Oh, all the time. Pete Sampras.
Pete did that?
That was Pete Sampras. If you see the second set summary, the one thing that jumps out at me was the 14 unforced errors from Russell, because he's got to be locked down solid. Roddick had a nice little stat line, but again, I'm looking at the game style that's going to get him into the second week and beyond. And it's defensive from the baseline, especially off the backhand side. Forehand, I have no problem with. People feel he needs to be more aggressive with the forehand. I think he's fine. He's got a great rally ball with it. He can control it well. He can pop it. But look where he's hitting that backhand from. He's moving backwards. He's going towards the clock.
15-love.
He's got to come up, step in, and just hammer that backhand. It's all coachable. There's nothing technically wrong with it, but he's got to allow himself to hit it, the freedom to crush it. Even Isevich used to hit 2 first serves when he'd get really nervous. He'd rather go down in flames with a double, going 135, but he honestly wasn't born with a brain cell when he competed. And my brother Murphy would go for 2 first serves on break, only on break points down. Not when he just like normal, he had a kick serve, but he felt he wanted to hit aces on break points down. And
hey, congratulations for your brother and the Washington Castles for winning WTT, the World Team Tennis Trophy. And
perfect season. First time in World Team Tennis history. 36 years of that league. So he's ripping me for not winning a national title in the NC2As, and I go, how's this? You give me Venus and Serena, who's on your team. You give me Leander Paes and Renee Stubbs, who's won Grand Slams, on your team.
So here's a question for you, and thinking about the future of American tennis and who's going to be the next Andy Roddick who could challenge for a U.S. Open. Might be Marty Fish later as this goes along. So you want to get to the kids when they're 5 or 6 and develop from there, and hopefully take a kid before he goes to college because he's so great. The next plan would be to hope that the NCAA and a champion would become a star after going through some years of college. All right, so listen to this. Starting in 1990, here are your NCAA champions. As you look at Citi Field, home of the New York Mets: Steve Bryan, Jared Palmer, Alex O'Brien, Chris Woodruff, Mark Markland, Sarge Sargesian, Cecil Mamet, Luke Smith, Bob Brown. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Now, they're not all Americans there, but there hasn't been really anyone to emerge from the... Why do you think that is?
especially from 90s, you know, for those 10 years, guys who won Grand Slams, guys who played U.S. Davis Cup. But the bottom line is recently, first of all, we're limited as a college program across the board. We have 144 days, and a lot of those days, a lot of those weeks, 20-hour weeks. Okay, we don't get a lot of time with these guys. They got academics they got to worry about. We're only limited to how much time they spend. But what people don't understand is that the kids in the United States today are not aspiring to be here in Arthur Ashe Stadium competing, trying to win championships. Our players, our great juniors, are really saying, reality is, let's just get a D1 scholarship and park our talent right there. And that's okay. But I think the thing is, if we're looking for the next great American group of champions, I think France has like 16 players in the main draw. Those are numbers to build on. Someone can break through there, like Tsonga and Monfils and Simone. We don't have that.
15.
Jack Sock is one guy. We've got, you know, that Donald Young is one guy. I mean, when I started playing in 83, 84, there were 6 of the top 10 players in the world was from the United States. In the 90s, 6 of the top 10, 7 of the top 10 from the United States. Chang, Puryear, Agassi, Santos, Martin, Washington. Farm system of people who are trying to do it. You're spending $10 to $15 million on something that isn't even possible because we've got to go on a marketing campaign now to get our juniors thinking to try the attempt. Do you know what I mean? Let's at least get the base camp that we have a group of people that are going to try to get to the summit of Everest. But we don't. I'm telling you, I recruited. Talent is there. The talent's all over the place, from California to New York, from Michigan to Florida and Texas. There are loads of players there. But if you ask them, what are your tennis ambitions? Go to college. That's fantastic. You go to football, what do they think? I want to play on Sundays. At Syracuse University, I go to that men's basketball team at Boeheim. You know what they're saying, those kids? I want to play in the league.
40-50.
I came here because Boeheim's going to get me to the league. That's where the cash is. That's where the dough is. Go to the biggest tournaments in the world with these kids. What are your tennis ambitions? I don't know. These are talented kids who serve $130, who hit ripping forehands.
Meanwhile,
sorry, you opened up something for me.
I hit the right button there. Meanwhile, Andy Roddick's got to be careful here, and he's on his way, 40-30.
But don't you want to see a player out here like a Roddick or you know, a Novak Djokovic, and he's got to go out there and just hammer these guys. Let's get, you know what I mean? Where's Federer's 0-1?
Andy Roddick holds serve, so he's on the board here in the third set. Up 2 sets, the first two, 6-2, 6-4.
Russell leads 2 games to 1, third set. Roddick by 2 sets to love.
You know, it's a problem, but I don't know how you can create dreams for kids. I mean, if they can't watch this and see this and think that this is something they want, then there's nothing in the world.
Listen, if you can give it to me, they'll give you a wild card and come on over. You know what I mean? The entitled generation. Give me this, give me that, give me a scholarship, give me more rackets, give me this and that. The bottom line is this is earned. And it starts with the coaches, you know, seeing that talent in 10 and 12, and the kid's a fighter and he's feisty and he's working hard, and you say, you know what, son, if you work hard enough, you can do this.
But you know, the problem is probably that, for the most part, the only kid who's playing tennis growing up has had some privilege. And doesn't have the born in Detroit fight to go to the well.
But I'm telling you, again, going to my team, who I recruit, I got a kid from West Virginia who's WTA ranked. No one on the WTA has ever been from West Virginia. This girl's got nothing but heart and guts. I got a girl who's dead.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
She's from West Virginia.
Right.
She's from, my dad was a miner or some hard-working thing, right?
Right.
Time.
But it has to come from the desire and the determination to get it done.
Now, there was just a fan dancing in the upper deck, and that generated one of the loudest cheers we've heard so far. This has been sort of a ho-hum match between Andy Roddick and Michael Russell, two Americans. We've had a few points where the fans got into it, but for the most part, there have been a lot of long rallies, and we haven't seen an explosive Andy Roddick, save for, I would say, 5 serves were sort of Roddick vintage.
I mean, again, I'll go back to what's his fastest serve right now in the match, 135. For the set, it's 128. It's nice, but five aces for the set, for the match.
Yeah, the weaponry is still in the closet.
And that's an issue. I mean, remember he used to serve 5 aces, in a couple of games. 3 in a game, 2 in a game. He'd just be racking up the tallying up the aces.
40-love.
That's a great shot from Russell. We talked about where's the offense coming from. I mean, he's built, this guy. Takes the ball early, rips it. He possesses that kind of style.
But that was a love game on a second serve.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about usopen.org. It's your premier source for video coverage of the Open, including exclusive match highlights, analysis, press conferences, and behind-the-scenes coverage throughout the tournament. The official tournament website, usopen.org. And Luke has gone on record as saying it's the greatest collection of U.S. Open merchandise in history.
Ever. I mean, in years past, it was brutally bad.
Oh, come on.
It was bad. I mean, a couple years ago, they started bringing some retro stuff in. They got some, some stuff that is like hip and happening. Whatever they got going, they got it spot on. From the hats, and you can get it all right there on that site. I love the towel. Have you seen the towel these guys are?
Love the towel.
Stars, great effort. They're worth the price.
32.
I mean, there's always get your Wimbledon towel, get your French Open. I think the U.S. Open's really stepped up with their merchandising, and it's just something you really want to get after and buy.
Now, this third set here is exactly how the Rafael Nadal match went yesterday. This is how every set was almost.
I just wonder, and one of the things that Federer talked about before the tournament was the surface. These long, kind of boring, weird rallies.
40-love.
Federer said this is the slowest that the U.S. Open surface has ever been since he's been playing from juniors all the way through. And he says, this doesn't help me, point blank. He goes, it helps Nadal, it helps Djokovic, because my ball won't have the sting and the zip from the serve and the ground strokes. And so the only thing I can think of, and I haven't read anything from the press conferences and things from these players that says, the surface is completely kind of throwing everything off. But we're used to explosive tennis from these top players. We've had Nadal, Federer, and Roddick out here at night.
Game Roddick.
As he throws a 6th ace of the match. And we haven't seen it, in my opinion, on a consistent basis.
Fastest serve of the match so far at 134 miles an hour. Couple of let's go Andys from the upper deck. Under the bright lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center. This is Al Troutwig along with Luke Jensen. Michael Russell of the United States and Andy Roddick of the United States. 8 American men in action today. This is a first round match on a Wednesday night. That's a great shot by Michael Russell.
Well, he took that ball early. We saw this
15
a
love.
couple times from Roddick. Now Russell kind of takes the same page out of the playbook, taking the ball early and running up to it quickly, taking the ball before it gets over his shoulders and ripping it. This is where, again, Russell has nothing to lose here. Everybody expects him to lose. He has to go for it. See, that's what I'm talking about. He created an opportunity after going cross court. The ball came short down. He steps up and rips it down the line. And now he's actually playing some good ball.
This is his game, that's for sure. Even with the lucky hit.
14 love.
Meanwhile, Luke Jensen is getting all sorts of texts from the women of the Syracuse tennis team saying, "Oh no, coach, I really do dream of playing at the U.S. Open."
No, they're texting me that they're studying right now. They just finished the 3rd day of classes of this academic year.
It's good.
But that's the type of play we've been asking for from the very first ball. If you're going to win, Michael Russell, you have got to take a higher risk out here. Okay? Higher risk, high reward. You're supposed to lose. Do you want to go down in a whimper, or do you just want to go out screaming and yelling and firing away?
I think that was his best game. 3 of his best shots.
Easily.
First service.
Yeah,
I'm just not.
he should not be missing that overhead.
2 of them.
Yeah.
much of sports is a half an inch one way or the other. And that's one of those points.
Right. That's a big-time serve, and in this set, a big moment, because at 2-4, 15-30, double break point is a nice little hole for Andy Roddick, but he pulls himself back to 30-all.
Luke, it's got to be so extra hard in a moment where you're jacked a little bit to not hit the net.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You got to measure it just right. And this is the best set for Roddick's serve. I mean, he's down 4-2, but boy, he's had a lot of explosive shots. 3 aces now in this set. He only had 4 in the first 2 sets, 4 in the second set. He had 0 in the first set.
And the ace came out to play, followed by a big serve. 146 into this.
Russell
serving 4-3 next.
Roddick by 2 sets to love.
Well, if Andy Roddick has lost his really extreme fastball,
Trouble.
You need another pitch.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got it, his kicks and stuff, but he just doesn't have enough follow-up on that second ball or the rally ball. Depth, pace. Again, we talked about the backhand. He can neutralize with the slice. He can put the topspin back in play, but it's not really a factor. It's just there. And in today's game, you look at Federer, Novak, Djokovic, Nadal, Fish, who's in the picture now, Tsonga, Monfils. You go down the list. Guys have both wings that can hit weapons, that can hit in the corners. Roddick has one wing that can do that from the ground. And he can always rely on the serve to hold serve, to get him second shots where he can run around and rip the forehand. But for Roddick, he needs to make a move right here. You don't want to go 4 sets. You don't want to spend extra time. If he wants to be a factor out here at this tournament, getting to the second week, being a threat, having a puncher's chance.
Well, then he's got to start banging away here.
Yeah.
Little "Let's Go Roddick" chant goes up at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City well past nightfall, and coming up on 9:30 on the eastern seaboard of the United States.
Mr. Russell challenging the call on the right far sideline. Ball was called out.
Ball was called out. Boy, he really wants a first serve. I mean, he really wants it. And, oh my goodness, can't get much closer than that.
I like to play. Backhand, backhand, backhand. You get the short ball, you rip the forehand down the line. He missed it, but that's the kind of formula that has put Russell in this winning position. He was up a break in the second set. He's up a break now in the third set. Will he keep the pressure on Roddick? He's got to execute that stuff. That serve at 107 miles an hour, that will do. He just can't throw a 100, 103. He's got to go big.
Let's go back to that challenge for a moment. You don't see that very often, a first serve challenge, right?
I mean, I think you're spot on.
But
really
look at the points won on second serve.
Yeah.
So they're identical.
Andy Roddick showing the fitness that he has really found over the last couple of years through Larry Stefanke, the coach. And one of the things Stefanke really emphasizes is fitness, footwork. From way behind the baseline, he tracks that one down and forces one more ball over the net.
See, now I love that when there's a point like that. Who's Luke going to talk about first? Is it going to be that Roddick got the point or that Russell made the miss?
Is what it's all about. That's a very difficult shot. Russell gets back, a nice little scissor kick. Snaps it off for a winner.
Russell is playing like he wants this U.S. Open to last forever, and on that point, Andy Roddick helped him out a bit, and that's a big bit because it's 40-30 with a chance to take this to 5-3, which would mean he could serve for the set no matter what. So this is pretty big.
Russell.
And a little bit more help from Andy Roddick.
Russell leads.
And how about this? Look at the body language. Not good. I mean, you would think that Andy Roddick wanted that game for everything just to prevent this from going to a fourth set. Couldn't make it happen. These should be angry serves. And so far they are.
15-love.
When he gets a chance to serve for the set, if that happens here, what do you think he's going to look like?
Well, we saw a little bit last night when the reality, when you come to the point where you've got to sit there and make your mark on the match.
It's pretty awesome, right?
It really is. But again, we talked about the script. Winning tennis right there. The ball's in your wheelhouse. You unleash the beast down the line. Just uncork one.
30-15.
But the script, and you talk about it, the challenger makes a run, gets ahead. The point where it's time to take control of the match, control of the set, defining points of the match. Challenger, falls back. The veteran, the established player steps up.
Was one of the hardest balls he's hit tonight. And there's another one.
A lot of his winners have come from scrambling situations.
30 all.
Now, he's a small guy. He's like, 5'7", 5'8". He's got quick wheels. He's able to get around and pivot and move to those shots. Good racket head speed, puts a lot of topspin on that ball so it dips down at the feet of Roddick. serve bails him out at 135 miles an hour.
Close.
Mr. Roddick is challenging the call on the left far sideline. The ball is called out.
If it's out, it's deuce.
Of course, it's deuce. Mr. Roddick has 2 challenges remaining. Advantage Roddick.
You would think this is cannon time.
Get in ball.
Oh.
Russell is hitting the ball harder than Roddick off the ground. Both wings, forehand and backhand.
Deuce.
Think of what you're saying.
I know, but it's the truth. The serve was 128 miles an hour, more than enough. Russell got it back. And then they get into this like firefight back and forth, and Russell tees off on a back and hits a winner.
Advantage Roddick.
115 out wide, more than enough. That slider's not going to be as fast as the one that's hit flat down the tee. You're just trying to get the location and pull the ball away from your opponent.
Okay. Roddick holds. But Michael Russell will be serving to force this
Russell
to a fourth
leads
set.
5 games to 4, third set. Roddick by 2 sets to love.
It's where the rubber meets the road for Michael Russell. This is your moment.
Now, maybe not the biggest service game of his life, but certainly in the conversation and on the list.
And how you play it, in my opinion, is key. Get up there and absolutely hammer it.
Well, the last thing you want to do is put the first one into the net.
Roddick is calling on his sideline. Look at this, you can see the ball boy coming. Now those are a pair of orthotics that he's going to put in his shoes. I've never seen that happen from his trainer, his physio, Doug Spreen, in the box. Just gave the ball kid those inserts. And usually those are already in your shoes. And they're basically a mold of your foot. You buy a shoe in a store, even Andy Roddick, he's got custom shoes, but you also have the inserts for extra support.
But he didn't put them in.
He didn't put them in, so
this is a major moment for 33-year-old American Michael Russell against a fellow Texan for the right, not to win, but to force a fourth set. Which against a former U.S. Open champion would be a big deal.
Roddick is having trouble with his movement. He did not react well to the drop shot off of his drop shot. It's a very long rail. A lot of cat and mouse out there. 31 shots. A lot of high topspin. Andy Roddick throwing the roller, the high roller, the 44 Vegas up there to give himself more time to get back into play. Sampras-like forehand down the line.
30 love.
Over the last two nights, it's been Federer, Nadal getting themselves out of trouble to beat the lower-ranked challenger, but not tonight. Andy Roddick in the third set is about to go down.
Okay, so here we go. These are those points.
Yeah.
Triple set point. Chance to fourth.
No throwaways.
There shouldn't be any.
Don't double fault.
And Andy Roddick slaps it way wide. And Michael Russell has the momentum that exists in this match.
6 games to 4.
We are going to a fourth set.
2 sets to 1.
Now, Andy Roddick had someone send over some orthotics. He did not put them in his shoes. And here they are. Now, are these the kind of things, Luke, that they break down as the match goes on?
No, I want to say, I bet they're soaked. I bet, look at, he is sweating bullets out there. And I bet you he changes probably socks. Sometimes guys have extra, I know he has extra shoes in the locker room, but he's not going to those. Let's see what he does here. Yeah, see, he's just putting on some new socks. Those are probably soaked. His shirt is soaked. Look at the sweat is dripping from his hat. Remember, this isn't like an injury timeout or anything. He's got 90 seconds, in the pits right now during this changeover to get his equipment right. So he's got, a lot of guys double up with their socks. He's got one there.
It's not hot tonight. It's probably about 70.
It's humid.
Yeah.
But it's humid. Okay, so one on each. Okay, 2 pair. Okay, there we go. See a little maintenance, a behind-the-scenes look at a professional tennis player and what they do with their feet.
Meanwhile, look at the guy behind him. Look at the size of that thing he's eating.
Holy cow!
That is 2 feet long. What is that?
He's like eating a house. The sandwich is bigger than his torso.
Amazing.
See the orthotic, just slip that right in there. There you go. It's a custom made right there. the guy who does it actually comes to all these tournaments and stuff like that, and you just fire away. You just put your foot into like this little box of foam, and then you come right out of it, and then he has them ready for you. This is one long changeover. Waiting in there. Last night it was Serena Williams, and you know it's tonight. Maria Sharapova.
Right.
I mean, I understand why they want to flip it every once in a while, women second and then first. Here, you know who really loses here? The people in the stands buy this ticket. It's 9:46. Even if it just ends at 10:15, Sharapova's not on until 10:30. Not sticking out. They've got lives. They've got jobs. You play the women first, get a nice 2 and 3, right? And then you get the guys out there. You get a set and a half. You go back to work. Hey, I saw Sharapova and Roddick play. Thanks for coming. That's a good ticket. I think Nadal started. I think he went 2.5 hours in three straight sets. It was pretty long.
It was 2:46 if I remember.
2:46, and then you got, I think, I know a lot of people didn't even stick around for Serena Williams, and that was like 1-1, just because they had to get back, go back to the city.
Interesting, there were not a lot of emotions as that set was slipping away.
And it's usually very animated, you know, winning or losing. Look at that. Forehand winners. Michael Russell. That's in the entire match.
The crowd is still not fully vested.
No, I don't think they really understand kind of what's going on. You know, they're just kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Wait a second, we're in a 4th set? You know, who's this guy, Michael Wright? He's from the United States.
Game Roddick.
Very much in control. Service hold for Andy Roddick.
Well,
here's your stat sheet.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that Russell got the key, because they're pretty much identical. Actually, Roddick has 4 aces, Russell has none. Winners are the same, unforced errors almost the same, but it's the break point conversions. I mean, Russell just had 2 break points. He just converted once. Roddick had 0 break point opportunities. That means the return game, getting it back in play, winning those return points. That's where he got burned.
15 love.
Does a shot like that happen?
Well, you just take your eye off the ball, not set up. I mean, it definitely happens more at the club level, at the 3.5.
that's really not where we are.
I know that. But it happens more often there.
Oh my goodness. It's been happening a few times now lately. And at love, Russell holds serve. It's 1-1 here in the fourth.
Do you think Roddick will be one of these, great players that if he's not playing at the level where he can compete for Grand Slams, he will stop? Or will he be a player that I just love to play like Leighton Hewitt and just keep going, and no matter, you're not a factor anymore. You just like to compete and you keep playing, you play out your strength.
I think once you've been a champion, and obviously you should answer this question instead of me, but I think once you've been a champion, answering the questions as to why you can't or haven't becomes something that is intolerable. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends, and you called it the other night, it depends on the individual. They've earned the right to decide how they want to finish, their time in the spotlight. To me, I always just wanted to play tennis. It didn't matter where it was, and it was great to be a pro tennis player. I just wanted to play tennis. Didn't matter what I was ranked. I wanted to compete. I think Andy Roddick, honestly, he's getting tired of battling injuries and going 4 sets. It's just, that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be blazing aces and competing for slams and getting to the second week.
That point right there is just amazing to watch.
30-15.
It's a 112-mile-an-hour slice serve, and Russell just kind of sits on it.
Andy Roddick finally puts it away. And Michael Russell will be serving 1-2 in the fourth set.
By 2 sets to 1.
Meanwhile, they've got Regis Philbin up on the scoreboard, and they're playing the music from Millionaire, and he hasn't hosted that show for about 8 years.
He's a big tennis guy.
A huge sports guy. Boy, this has been a very odd match, just like the other two. Really has been. Did you think that there was any way he was losing that third set?
I didn't think there was any way it was ever going to be. I thought it was going to be like 2-2 and 3. 3-2 and possibly 4. And look, there's the muscle man. He is in there. He's thinking about, I'm on serve in the fourth. I was up a break in the second. This is his moment right now. If he really chooses to kind of keep that explosive ground stroke power going, we've seen a number. He's hit more forehand winners than Andy Roddick. That's Roddick's best ground stroke.
Michael Russell serving, 1-2. Fourth set. This was perfect.
He's got a nice little touch, especially off the backhand side.
15 love.
He comes in strong, and Russell's able to really just carve underneath that ball to add a little extra backspin to keep the ball short and low and actually bounce back towards the net. What? That is a weird. I wonder if there's something wrong. He is not really exploding to the corners into those shots.
And there was that sort of nervous look at the box too,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
Yeah. When you're Andy Roddick, you're bringing a team of specialists from coach, trainer, agent. Michael Russell has honestly a bag of rackets, a suitcase, and a passport that says will travel. And they are honestly locked in a match right now. And Andy Roddick's energy just doesn't seem to be right.
Second service.
Who's dictating? I mean, that's not a big serve. 85 miles an hour. Roddick really doesn't do anything.
85 miles an hour?
Yeah. 85 miles an hour. Roddick just kind of rolls it back. And there's Russell moving up. It's kind of a home run cross court.
First service.
And if I'm Russell, I try to get this match longer, points longer, extend the court.
Game Russell.
You tell me what you see.
games
Because I don't see any spark from the Andy Roddick ground stroke game, especially off his forehand weapon.
Well, I would agree with that. USOpen.org is the exclusive online home for point-by-point live scoring and real-time stats and draws. Visit the official tournament website, USOpen.org.
We've talked about American tennis taking a hit, but today really is tough because Venus Williams has pulled out of the tournament with an ailment. The Bryan brothers lost as the #1 seeds in doubles in 3 sets.
I think it's officially uh-oh time.
Well, I don't know if it's uh-oh. If we get into the 5th set and it's 2-all, love 15.
Well, what are you going to see in the 5th set that you didn't see at the end of the 3rd set or the beginning of the 4th set?
Well, I think Andy Roddick is starting to get concerned and says, you know, I need to put this guy down. But now this.
15 on.
There you go. Matt, that's ace number 3 for the set, 11 for the match. It's at 133 miles an hour. But Russell is not the same player he was in the first 2 sets. This guy's confident. He feels he's found an opening here with the big forehand, hitting it to the corners. He looks the fresher of the two. Look at this. Russell is the guy who has the spring in his step, who's being aggressive.
If that got over the net, he would have been there.
This is exactly the type of match Russell wanted to get into. Long rallies, make it a fitness test. Let's see what this guy, Andy Roddick, has in the tank. We've already seen Andy Roddick change the inserts, his insoles basically of his shoes, his socks. He's sweating bullets out there.
15-14.
But the orthotics are made of a rubber-like material.
Right.
They wouldn't absorb sweat.
I mean, I don't know why he would switch them. Outside of that, and here we go.
All right, the points of proof, that's been one number in Roddick's favor. But look how few break points that there have been.
I can see off the Russell having a few break points, but Roddick has lots of chances.
Oh, he's done that a few times, and that works beautifully.
From deep behind the baseline, he sets up the forehand. He's looking for a 2-shot pass, and he does it on the first.
Russell serving to go up 4-2 after this.
3-2, full set. Roddick by 2 sets to 1.
Here we go, buddy. That is something else.
Now, look, this can't be one of those, you know, I always play the first round badly, or that's not this, right? There's something going on.
Well, I think you pointed out, when he did that weird kind of stretch or something, and then he looked to the box. I think that picture says something to us, at least, that there's something going on with that athlete. Whereas now Russell, he believes he can win this match. I mean, look at that athlete. Look at the focus. He's not worried about who he's playing. This guy looks worried. I mean, he doesn't look like he's got any fire.
Oh, that's so weak.
Time.
Towel being in.
Well, well, well. Arthur Ashe Stadium, Michael Russell. 96 in the world against a former U.S. Open champion. And look at this. He's hitting shots from the baseline. He's hitting little touch shots from the net. He's got the crowd starting to invest in what's happening here now.
Well, yeah, we've seen him hit it off the backhand side, and now the forehand volley gets involved with the little cut forehand.
all.
15 all, and Roddick is doing, well, probably getting a new racket. With some disdain, he tosses it away.
Now it's interesting because when guys go to a racket like this, just kind of out of nowhere, usually it's after a ball change where you take the old balls out and apply new skins out there, and so you want a tighter strung racket because the ball, oh, there you go. That's the problem. Broken string. You see a hybrid, two different strings in that racket. It's got natural gut. It's got a poly in the other way.
Well, you Michael Russell here, more than a decade going at it. I think he had one sort of exciting moment at the French Open about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, he had match points against Gustavo Quarten from Brazil, who's the defending French Open champion.
But a largely unremarkable career, and this one's got some ways to go yet, but still, all sorts of crazy things are floating in his head. He's 33. He's playing another American. This would be some kind of headline.
Well, I think he's out playing Andy Roddick right now, to be perfectly honest. I mean, he's the one who's coming to the net. He's the one hitting the bigger ground strokes. You see that 15-30, a little shout out, no double break point. That's what you want to hear from a competitor. Let the world know, let your opponent know, listen, you want to battle, we're going to battle.
Does not want to have his serve broken here. I mean, it's not a locomotive, but it's a nice little train. And he just wants to keep chugging. And there's Andy Roddick screaming with some energy, getting himself into the match, and then he pops one into the net and sends one long. And it is deuce. Michael Russell is unleashing. Remember, Luke, we talked about cherishing the opportunity?
Oh, yeah.
I think he is. Chance to go up 4-2.
If you can save these breakpoint opportunities and get out of this game. That's where I really like Andy Roddick taking the fight to his opponent. He's tried a number of times, but he's gotten past, but he hasn't been discouraged.
Jeez.
So he takes that approach out, even though it's short, he comes up and sticks that volley to the deep sideline.
Hardest things in sports to do is erase a champion at any age. This one took a while to develop and percolate.
Well, no one saw this 4-setter.
Meanwhile, it took so long to percolate, it feels like it's about 1 in the morning.
Does the Sharapova in that locker room, waiting to come on next. gets into it, and Russell waited one shot too long to go down the line with that. Now, you pointed out, you're pointing to the screen, the down line's wide open, and that's where you got to make your move. You cannot allow a guy with the talent of an Andy Roddick to hold his ground. So he's got this one here, comes in, but look at this. See how he's standing straight up. You can't see it now. This is the other side of it, but standing straight up on the volley, and Russell just can't handle it that high up. You've got to bend your knees. You've got to get down.
All right, now off the service break.
15 love.
This is where you want to see him up it.
Good solid body serve. He's staying with the theme of moving forward.
We really have to come up with something with some sort of ebb and flow EKG thing, you know, where every few minutes you have to go on and say, he's got control. No, he's got control.
Right.
See, because right now, Andy Roddick would be on the way.
Yeah, right.
Remember we talked about when the match began and we said, you know, it's just not interesting. It's so one-sided. And we said the other way, you know, you just watch and see how the guy can somehow wiggle his way into it. And that's exactly what happened. Now, the wiggling may be over. We're not sure, but that's the kind of game that Andy Roddick needed.
Roddick leads 4 games to 3 for set by 2 sets to 1.
Now, do you think, well, that would be guessing.
I'll tell you, that guy hammered that sandwich. That sandwich is gone. He's behind. You see that guy in the blue shirt? That guy with the sandwich was right behind him.
Yeah, you're right.
It's gone.
Nice job over there.
That's world class right there. That had to have been like 2 feet long. That was a huge sandwich. Like a turbo sub.
This has been a long first-round adventure for Andy Roddick. And remember this, starting on a Wednesday, the matches are going to come fast and furious for him now if he survives this.
Time.
Michael Russell, every changeover, sitting there with his legs bouncing, trying to stay loose, nerves, all that stuff. 2 Americans, both from Texas, with so vastly different resumes. Roddick turning 30, Russell 33. Good start for Russell. Obviously, you can see from the scoreboard, if he does not hold, Roddick serves for the match.
30-15.
Well, this match is still not a Monet or a Gauguin, you know. It's had its moments.
And the thing is, he just rushed that second serve. And Russell actually served 2 double faults to open up this campaign at the beginning of the match. And all of a sudden, that is not a good second serve at all.
Well, it's not like he has some career of confidence fuel tank to dip into. Right?
Yeah. But I would say courage. You know, he's got. It's,
Mr. Russell challenging the call on the left near sideline.
So it was called out. This is the second time that he has challenged the first serve. First time didn't work, and this time does.
First service.
This could be the match right here. Could be the match.
30-40.
Russell responds with a stab. We're at deuce.
Deuce.
You know, Luke, I don't think anybody here tonight's going to enter him into home run derby, but I think Michael Russell has some fans here tonight now.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of respect for the performance that Michael has put on display tonight in Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Advantage Russell.
And Andy Roddick continues to look like a high-tech sports car running on regular gas.
Doesn't seem to have that extra gear that normally the elite players have at the top of their game.
And Michael Russell lives to fight in another game.
That ball right in the strike zone. Russell allowing himself to really get the green light on his forehand and rip it down the line. See, it's up, and then he explodes. And Roddick didn't even react to it. He was just frozen in the middle of the court.
Now, these early round scripts say that the up-and-comer against the star absolutely does an el foldo when the points get important. But that is not what happened with Michael Russell at the end of the third. It's in the same spot here for all in the fourth.
Mr. Roddick challenging the call on the right centre serve line.
What'd you think, good or bad?
It's too far away from me.
I thought it was wide.
Both players have all three of their challenges, and oh, come on!
What did I tell you?
Seriously.
Wow. By a whisker.
15 love. Mr. Roddick has 2 challenges remaining.
It's tough watching Michael Russell hit the second serve into the net like that. Somehow, some way, get it over.
He is so effective on the run, whether it's the forehand or backhand. We've seen some cross-court passes. This time the runner down the line.
Did you think
15 all.
Roddick could have gotten a stick on this?
I don't know. He bends it. Look at this. Remember, most of the passing shots have been going cross courts. You see, Roddick's kind of leaning on that cross court, and you see how he curves that ball in? It gets around the outside of the ball. Oh, that's good stuff. That is a massive second serve. That's the biggest second serve of the night for Andy Roddick. 114 miles an hour.
Almost dislocated his shoulder.
Let me put in perspective, the fastest serve from Russell tonight is 118. That's just any serve. But this is the serving we're used to from Andy Roddick. 133 on the first. Huge on the second. 114.
40-15.
Change up, yeah, a couple of spins in the hundreds.
Oh boy, he'll remember that shot for a long time. How about the rest of his life?
Well, it first comes down to effort and hustle, and look what the anticipation. Get this right here, get a stick, just enough.
And Andy Roddick had the best seat in the house to saw that fall good.
Here we go, buddy. Now, if you're Russell right now, the thing that's going through your mind, where do I guess? You're not going to stop that. 131, right down the tee.
Advantage Roddick.
He's never won a U.S. Open match, and Michael Russell's in uncharted territory in terms of the pressure that he's experiencing.
Russell is being a very smart baseliner right here, picking on the backhand of Andy Roddick.
That shirt is absolutely soaked.
It is.
And it's his second one. Oh, the ohs on both sides of the net.
And Russell guesses right. The serve is a little slower. It's 126 compared to the 130s that Roddick has been thrown in that box this game.
Roddick prevails. His wife likes it. And Michael Russell will serve
Roddick leads
to prolong this match. 4-5 in the fourth. as Maria Sharapova mutters under her breath in Russian or English, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
No, there's really no way to say, Michael Russell went wrong here. I mean, he's playing Andy Roddick, right?
Yeah, but you have to admit, remember we saw in the second set when he got that early break 2-1. He got real defensive. He missed, I think, 3 forehands, then a backhand. He just kind of fumbled the ball at the goal line there. He definitely picked up his game, Michael Russell, in the fourth and throughout the third and then the fourth set. He has been, there's tennis out there that he should be very proud of, that he has really earned some big time respect and admiration from this crowd. I mean, there's no way this should be going this long, but here he is. He's on serve, but this is where he's got to go for it. He's
time.
Well, here's one thing I would say that Andy Roddick should be saying to himself. Okay, dude, in a big spot.
Can you do it?
Well, no, I should be able to break Michael Russell's serve and end this thing.
Yeah, I agree. No, Roddick has a couple of different ways. Do I just roll it in there and hope that Michael Russell beats himself and gives away the match? Or does Roddick do a little bit more with his ground strokes? Plays a little bit more offensive. I would go with the offense. I would get the ball in play off the return and then to start trying to rip shots and dictate.
The match started with a double fault, and we thought, oh boy, this will be over in a hurry. Wide by 2 feet. He made Andy Roddick run a mile, and then he came up short.
Love 15.
Luke, how hard is it to go smash, smash, smash? Bing.
Well, for Russell, it's impossible. He doesn't have that capability. Roddick does. Well, you really called it with Andy Roddick. Andy Roddick should have the ability to come up, step up, and break this guy's serve. In the first 2 points of this game, he's done just that. It's a small window to try to pass. Look at this passing shot. After this volley, look at it. It's trying to thread the needle.
And Roddick is forcing him to make that shot because of where he is, right?
Exactly. He positions himself right on that line, looks for the cross court that will go across his nose if it does go cross court. But how you play the net isn't just how you hit the forehand and backhand volley. It's how you position yourself to prepare for the passing shot.
This is a first serve. And a good first serve.
105 miles an hour, but it was the quick pace
15,
towards the target. Kind of got off the racket quickly. Well placed in that tee.
Michael Russell doesn't win this point. We're looking at match points. I'd say that's pretty important.
Well, if he's nervous at all, it's going to show in this second serve.
There's your point that typifies the night.
30 all.
Roddick's body language tells you what you need to know.
40-13.
How hard it must be at this level of the sport to go to the baseline and know you have no shot for an ace in a moment like this.
No.
And that's the first sign of seriously negative emotion from Andy Roddick.
Well, he had love 30 in this
Fine
game.
game.
He had played 2 good quality aggressive points. And you're thinking, okay, he's going to put a stamp on this match, move on to the next round. And there's Michael Russell just hanging around, not beating himself.
It's Maria Sharapova on line 1, Andy. Are you kidding me? And you know, you have to be careful in Michael Russell's mind, don't you, Luke? I mean, that might feel like a win, but this is, you know.
Yeah. I mean, he just wants to get this serve back in play, because if he can, he's got himself a chance to win the ground stroke points. He's winning a lot of ground stroke points, going toe-to-toe, being more aggressive than Roddick at times. But it's the serve, that massive serve, the confidence Roddick has in it. The last one, 130 miles an hour. That one, 132. That second serve, 112. I just wonder if those big serves over and over and over have just taken its toll physically on Roddick.
I mean, over the years?
No, that he can't consistently throw that smoke.
And that was a little too easy for Andy Roddick. And now we could say again that he should say to himself,
6 games to 5.
on any given night when I absolutely have to, I should be able to break Michael Russell's serve and end this match. Coming up on 3 hours. And for all the sweating he has done, this is going to be a physical exertion that, and we mentioned the matches are going to come fast now because he's starting on a Wednesday. You tell me, I mean, what does that do to what you're going to feel like tomorrow?
It's not a good sign if you're an Andy Roddick fan. You want to see him go deep in the draw. And it's just one of these things where you really like to see him get out of here in 4. But Russell is going to make him earn it.
Roddick first to the dance. He's been out there. Michael Russell, legs chattering, wants every minute of this rest.
Time.
The winner of this match plays Jack Sock. The next Andy Roddick. I mean, if Roddick can get through this thing, it's going to be an interesting match. It's the, like, kind of when we saw Sampras play Andy Roddick all those years ago, you know, it was kind of, and Sampras won that match.
It's Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Let's first service.
Almost exactly the same type of build approach, both from Nebraska.
That was a first serve.
At 96 miles an hour.
Well, we're either headed to a tiebreak or the locker room.
Also snuck out of a love 30 situation in the last service game. Want to keep your nose out in front. That first point of the game is so critical. Gives you some breathing room. first shots that I've seen all night where Russell looked like he was just a half a step slow. Most of the time he's been on top of that ball, running up to that short ball, that high ball, and catching it in the strike zone.
Well, doesn't the fact that he consciously stays in his chair while Andy Roddick returns to the court tell you that he's thinking, I need as much rest as possible?
Yeah. Two net cords at love 30 that go in to extend the rally, and he finally wins it. I mean, man, Uncle Russell was cutting it very close.
Was probably the biggest second serve of his career. And now we've got match points. And that's a cheer for the fight.
Yep.
Somehow, some way. I mean, it looked like Michael Russell was going to be absolutely slaughtered in this match. And instead, we've got 3 hours of tennis drama at Arthur Ashe. Into the net, and that's the ball game. 6-2, 6-4, 4-6, 7-5. Andy Roddick wobbles a little bit into the second round. Oh, there you go. Whoosh, am I glad that's over with.
He's thinking this could have gotten really ugly if we went 5.
That is going to do it for now. From Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing Meadows, night 3 of the 2011 U.S. Open. Maria Sharapova is coming up here with Luke Jensen, Al Troutwig. See you soon.